I don't know why I'm nervous. Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Miss Mouthy. So, welcome to this week's episode of the Miss Mouthy Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This podcast is all about trans and non binary people of color, experiences and narratives, and the ally that love and support us. And if you're a returning set of lips, thank you for tuning in and rocking with your girl this week. So, this week, I really wanted to call this episode Status Sexy because I think it's important to recognize how much stigma we have in our community around the HIV topic and epidemic, but yet also normalizing that like you can live with HIV and make it sexy. So that's what we want to do here. And I have two amazing guests today that want to chime in on today's topic. First guest that is virtual. Can you introduce yourself?
I don't know which guest is virtual. Is that me?
I'm sorry.
And it looks like you're looking off at the other direction. So I
Oh
don't know
well,
what the
let
heck.
me look this way. You.
Hi, everybody. I'm
Hey.
Charles Sanchez. I am a writer, actor, journalist. I have a web series that's about an HIV positive guy who is not sad, sick, or dying, and it's
Yeah.
called Merce. And I also write, I'm a contributing editor for thebody.com and a contributing writer for Pause Magazine.
Nice. Nice. Thank you for coming. And other guests?
Y'all know me. You know this one.
Return again.
Yeah, I'm a return guest. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, what's your name?
Oh, my name is Kobe.
Okay, period.
Yeah.
So, thank y'all for coming and being a part of this topic because I think it's really important to have this conversation. But I want to start with you, Charles, a little bit about the work that you do. I know that me and you had met when I came onto your platform, and so could you kind of explain a little bit more about what was the initial thoughts behind creating the things that you do and what you write about and how you like do your activism around HIV?
Okay, well, I'll try to keep it short, but I don't know if I
Okay.
can. But first of all, I just want to go. I feel like I need to go like this. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's Miss
period.
Mouthy. And maybe if you're Miss Mouthy, maybe I'm Mr. Oral.
Okay,
Anyways,
period.
well, I was diagnosed with HIV in 2003. Actually, my diagnosis was AIDS. It was
Okay.
very serious, and I almost died. And kind of figuring out who I was going to be in the world after that. And okay, I'm not going to die. Well, that's cool. And well,
Right.
now what? And in my journey, I moved back to New York City about 15 years ago, and I just needed to do something. So my buddy and I started doing a web series that we called Manhattan Man Travels. That was him and me and a flip cam, no budget, running around Manhattan. It was nuts, but it was
Okay.
super fun. We did two seasons of that. And then we decided, like, if we're going to do a third season, let's really do it. And so we hired a consultant. We figured out how we needed to produce a real web series, like really film it, hire professional filmmakers. And I wanted to put HIV at the forefront of the storyline.
Right.
So, and I wanted to show someone living with HIV because all I could see in the landscape of HIV storytelling in major media was like a historical, like Angels in America or Rent, or
Mhm.
it's always showing what the AIDS crisis was like in the 80s and 90s, which is important, but it's not the only story.
Right.
Or if it was a modern story, like say it was a Law and Order, a very special episode of Law and Order,
Yeah.
they'd have someone living with HIV, and there would be like a sad violin playing,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like always this tragedy. And I thought, that's not my life. And that's also not the lives of anybody that I know that's living with HIV. Most of us are like thriving and taking our medication regularly and living full lives. And that includes sex and love and
Yeah.
relationships and all of the everything that goes along with that people don't think of when they think about people living with HIV.
Yeah. And so that was the main reason why like you stuck out to me is really having you talk about this topic because I love watching your posts. I think what you're doing is amazing. And I
Oh,
think
thank you.
more people need to see the vibationsness of people who living with HIV. Like we're now at a time where things are more progressive and I think people are more educating themselves with more knowledge around things, and we're trying to normalize the conversation so there's not as much stigma. So anybody who watching, I feel like if you hear the word HIV and your skin crawl or you do anything, check that.
Right.
I'm asking you to check that at the door and do a little bit more shadow work for self. Kobe, what comes up for you, or what personal connections have you had around the topic HIV?
Um, I haven't really had any personal connections per se.
Hmm.
But I'm a little aware,
Okay.
of it, and I appreciate your guest Charles, correct?
Yeah, Charles.
Charles for sharing his story.
Yeah.
Um, but I would like to, become a little more aware than I already am.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So one thing I think is really important is recognizing that, like, sex is something that's natural and that's going to happen, right? I would love for more people in our community to not be as so taboo when it comes to, like, people's sexual preferences or what it is that happens in the bedroom or just in our culture as a whole. One thing I'm recognizing is how people try to put this label of people living with HIV just on the LGBTQ community alone, and it's an epidemic that I feel like a lot of people are personally connected to. So I kind of want people to be mindful of that when it comes to things like that. Um, how has medication progressively changed, Charles, from the time that you had been diagnosed to what you see in today's era?
Well, when I was first diagnosed, I was on a very aggressive cocktail. I was taking six pills twice a day.
Okay.
And it was this medication. One of the medications was called Kalitra,
Okay.
and one of the side effects. Well, when I was put on Kalitra, a friend of mine said, "Here's some black underwear. Say goodbye to white underwear." Because there was when I lovingly call poops a daisy was one of the side effects.
Okay.
Like whoopsie. But now I'm on a regimen that is one pill once a day. It's super easy. It also, when you are taking less pills, for me, it made me feel less sick,
Hmm.
which is crazy and great. And there's even people now who are taking PrEP and HIV medications that are injectables that are once every 2 months,
Yeah.
which is so freeing. I'm hoping that my doctor will let me do that.
Yeah. So, I'm a hopeless romantic by nature. And so, one thing I always hear from, like, people in conversations is how dating while being someone living with HIV, how is that with the dating scope or, like, disclosure when you think of, like, trying to look for a partner?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, like there are different kinds of relationships,
Right.
and all of them are valid. So there are people who are looking for a monogamous partner,
That
and
is
there are
true.
people who are not,
That
and
is
and both are perfectly valid. I have had situations where uh, like I was on a date and it was going really well, and then I disclosed I had HIV and the guy was out of there.
yeah.
I've had people say horrible things to me on dating apps. This one was funny, so I say it, but he said that I was spreading AIDS every time I spread my legs,
Mm.
which I thought was kind of like I was like, that's
People.
funny, dude. But first of all, that's not true. I have been living with an undetectable viral load uh, pretty much after I got out of the hospital in 2003. Once I was on successful treatment, I was testing undetectable. And so I have not given HIV to anyone in that whole time that I've been undetectable. So, undetectable equals untransmittable. You equals you.
Oh,
That's what that
period.
means.
Wow. I wish I had a sound effect. Dun, dun,
And
dun.
between the U equals U movement and PrEP and condoms and all the there's such a landscape of prevention methods that there's no reason that any prevent of those prevention methods could prevent love, or prevent any
Yeah.
kind of connection that you're trying to get to.
Yeah, and so you brought up a really good point that I kind of want to get Kobe take on. You brought up like monogamy and non-monogamy relationships, and the last time you was here, we kind of touched
Yeah.
on that a little bit. But with that being said, have you found yourself in a way of like a lot of people discrediting your preference for how you want to date with like monogamy not necessarily being the goal?
Um, Honestly, I'm a kind of person who I do what I want to do, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, but I'm also honest. Like if I'm telling the person this is what I want, whether it's monogamy or polygamy, then that's up to them to decide if that's something they want to deal with or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Um, One thing I'm learning about being on prep, which one I'm so thankful for prep, it's like one pill I take to like prevent me from um anything from my partner that may be um living with HIV. I feel like that medication was back in the day something that you could only dream of, or something that I felt like we talked about happening, but to actually live it and like see it in rare form and take it. And then to talk to my different sexual partners about like me being on prep, it's it's a stigma within itself, because what I'm noticing is like a lot of men hear me saying, instead of them hearing me say to prevent HIV, they hear me saying have HIV, and I'm taking like a pill a day. And then I'm telling them like there's a pill that you can take, and like trying to kind of get them to be a little bit proactive. And that's kind of a hard conversation if sex, sex is the only goal on the agenda. So it's like, I didn't sign up for all this like sexual health course. Like, bitch, I just came to bust a nut. So don't keep talking to me about, prep. And I'll be like, oh, well, I'm just trying to make sure, because sometimes those conversations is very difficult. I think it's very hard to like muster up the courage to say, hey, this is what's going on with my body, my health, but also setting them healthy boundaries with self to be like, hey, this is something that I feel like I want to do. And if we're going to engage in this way, um, I'm gonna need you to kind of like be a little bit more cognizant of my boundaries. So I guess for my next question, Charles, what rights or what um boundaries do people living with HIV need to know that they have? Because one thing I notice is about like people outing people's statuses, and I just it makes my skin crawl. It just makes me feel like I just we want to fight. Like
Oh, well, and you should. Unfortunately, one of the things, there's still a lot of HIV criminalization laws in
yes.
this country, and it depends on, they vary state to state, and all of them are bullshit. They were created in the middle of the AIDS crisis, most of them, all out of fear, when we didn't know anything about anything when it came to HIV, and now people are still being criminalized for whether or not there is risk of transmission, whether or not there is any kind of motive for that
Mhm.
crime, or intent to harm, and it's really really terrible. So I think if you're living with HIV, go live somewhere where there isn't crazy laws about HIV. Um, but know what your laws are and know what you're supposed to do, because you don't want to be one of those people that gets in trouble because you didn't disclose and you had to. So that's like a basic thing. Like I'm really fortunate. I live in New York City. Um, the people that I encounter for the most part already know. Having a discussion about HIV and PrEP in the sex realm is not unheard of, or is not surprising to most people that I have encountered. So I feel like it's really fortunate. I think it's different in different parts of the country, where maybe it's not as talked about, where people like don't know what PrEP is, like you were saying.
Mhm.
Um, so I think it's difficult. Those kinds of conversations can be much more difficult in different parts of the country. Um,
I have a question for you, Charles.
sure.
Well, both of you guys, if you know.
Okay.
Um, what is I don't know much about the laws or anything like that. What is the craziest law you think you've heard on pertaining to it?
Well, there have been several people that have been criminalized, put in prison for whether or not there's proof of sex, first of all, or
Yeah.
proof of transmission or proof of intent. It's one word against another, one person's word against another, and it can, and because of prejudices,
Yeah.
they can be thrown in prison, and that's happened.
Yeah.
And the worst, I mean, the most crazy case I can think of is Ken Pinkella, who was, oh gosh, I can't think of his rank. He was very high ranked in the army, I believe, or Marines, some military something.
Right.
He's such a wonderful guy, but he was a high ranking. He'd had a whole career in the military, and somebody that he didn't have sex with accused him of exposing them, and he lost his whole career. He lost his military benefits. He lost everything. He was dishonorably discharged, and that is like the worst situation I can think of.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, it's unbelievable.
And one thing, like, I don't know, like, any real personal cases, but what I will say is that, like, it reminds me the stigma, right? Part of me feeling like I don't know is because there's a lot of stigma in conversations around HIV. It's silent to none in the community. Like, we don't sit and have an open dialogue. Just like, when two people meet, it's normally like, hey, are you a top or are you a bottom? Or, those type of conversations is real casual, but we don't have those open discussions. But it also reminds me of like the Salem witch trials, where it's like you can just condemn somebody or accuse somebody of something without no real proof and
Right.
evidence. Yeah, and so I think that's the tricky thing, because even with personal connections of, like, people who I know, it's like when they tell their story and they share their narrative, there's no way of tracing, like, where it came from, or, like, they can't pinpoint for, say, to say, like, this person actually gave it to me or
Right.
did this. So it's like, and that's not even half the battle. Like, that's not the goal, is to know exactly where the origin is. For me, I always think my mind around, like, well, how do we get you to a place of like health and like staying good on medications and making sure you're good in doctor and having a good support system? Because I think people don't talk about the mental health aspect of what happens when like coming into grips about diagnosis and things of that nature, which leads me into my next question with you is like, what did acceptance in your journey look like, and did you ever, one, have you ever came to full acceptance, and how long did you think that journey actually took?
Oh gosh. Um, well, the initial moment, like I remember being in the hospital and thinking like, am I dead? Am I done? Is this over?
Right.
Um, and then being really, really sad that I had not known. I'd been so out of touch with my own body that I
Mm,
had no idea how sick I was. And then I had a friend who came to see me, and he said like, "You've got a really bad attitude." Because it's
yeah.
not the 80s or the 90s. You're not going to die. Everything's fine. Take your medications. Do what the doctors tell you. You'll be fine. And that was the first stage of like, oh, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had a big mouth and that I was funny. And I was like, okay, I can be that guy
Yeah.
who people can point to and say Charles is okay. But I really kept myself from connections, as far as like intimate connections. I had more than one boyfriend where we didn't have sex,
Okay.
which I'll never do again. But and why did they accept that? But they did, and so like it's been an evolution. It's been a process, and I'm sure it is for everybody. And I imagine there's even further I can go, but I feel like I'm much, much, much more accepting of my status. It's certainly out there in my life. It is
Right.
what I do for a living. I feel like everybody knows that about me first, um, and that's okay with me.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem talking with sexual partners or potential romantic partners or whatever that looks like about my HIV status. My family all knows, like it's just really out there.
Yes.
Um, and I don't have a lot of occasion where I go, oh, I'm a bad person, or like where I feel bad because of my HIV or anything
Okay.
like that anymore.
Th- Thank you. And so, like, that question applies to you too. On your journey of accepting yourself for who you are, your identity, how long did that take, or how how are you still, if you haven't reached that point, how are you still dealing and coping?
Um, I feel like I've always known or been very aware of myself, if that makes sense,
Okay.
from a very young age, and so, um, I guess I haven't really had to think about it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I've always had great relationships, and yeah,
Yeah, that's good. That's a
I
blessing.
can't really think of nothing.
I'm glad that you were fortunate like that because a lot of people of our community don't have that same narrative. So that's beautiful, especially being like a young black male.
All
So
right.
yeah.
But then at the same time, I feel like a lot of people always try to be something that they're not, or more so, want to be a different version of themselves, which is not wrong with it. But I've always believed like being myself has always gotten me where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So that's also a big thing, like just knowing who you is, being true to that.
Yeah. I didn't come to acceptance about like being trans until like my late 20s. It was a journey because I didn't want to feel like I was bringing shame to my family. I didn't want to feel like I didn't have a lot of visibility. I didn't have representation of other women that I could even ask about like transitioning and what that looks like. But also I'm kind of glad at the same way because I didn't want any influence. I wanted whatever decision I was going to make was going to be authentic to my own self. So yeah. Charles, I think it's very great how confident you are with your body and things of that nature. What are some tips you have
Yeah.
for people to be able to like keep it sexy regardless of status? Because yeah, I think sexy
Are
is
you
a confident boost.
are you referring to my nakedness recently on
I
social
love
media?
it. You look damn good for your age to be
Well,
naked like
thank
that.
you. Thank
Okay,
you. I
period.
am 54 and naked as much as I can be.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
oh shit. He breaking the internet.
damn right. Why not? Because
Yes.
I'm 54. How many more regrets do I have even available to me in my life? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go for it. But I my kind of had this like sexual renaissance in the past year, and where I'm literally having more sex now than maybe I ever have in my whole life. It's
Hey.
awesome.
So
It's
everything's
so great,
okay, go ahead.
right?
54, period.
Damn right. And one of the things that I've learned, like it took me a long time to get feel okay about my own body.
Mhm.
But as I've been sort of more sexually active and meeting a lot of different partners and different ages and types, and I find a lot of different types sexy. Find a lot of different guys really hot. I don't have like an ethnic type or a generic like, oh, he has to be 22 and a twink and swimmer's building. No, I
Right.
like it. I like it all. But one of the things I'm encouraging my friends who are maybe like feeling like they're, oh, I'm too fat or I'm too old or I'm too whatever, too skinny, or that, no, you're not too anything. You are okay, right? You are
Yeah.
sexy, you are hot, you can get laid right now. there
Period.
is there is somebody right now who is looking for exactly what you are,
Yeah.
regardless of your HIV status or your sexual, your gender identity, your any of that kind of stuff. You can get laid, I promise.
Yeah. And you know what? That's the funny thing that you say that because I affirm all of that. I do believe that. And you can't get laid because it is out here, dick and pussy and ass all out here and through here. But I think the challenge is, right? The challenge is I hate to say being kept or like it's the goal is like it's easy to get laid, but how do we retain those relationships after the sex is good if monogamy is the form of the relationship you're seeking?
Right. Well, that I can't really answer because I sought monogamy for a long time. I was really in a heteronormative mindset for
Yeah,
years and years. Like I needed to have that boyfriend, I
yeah.
needed to have that partner, and white picket fence and all that stuff.
Ain't that
And
crazy?
I
Yeah.
mean, but it's only in the past, like actually, like 7 or 8 months, where I've
Okay.
been in a situation with someone who I'm seeing who has more sex than anybody I know, and he's married.
Hey,
Yeah, right. He
I
is
thought he was too
married.
young. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do we
He's
say that he's married?
he's married to another man. They've been married for, I don't know. I mean, they've been together for 22 years. I don't remember how long they've been married. Um, but they have an open marriage,
Okay.
and I'm sort of, it's not a, what do you call it? It's not polygamy, like, but like I know the husband. I hang out at their
Right,
house.
right.
They know me. It's totally open. And there's something really, one of the things that he told me was like, just because I see other people doesn't mean that you're not sexy. It
Mhm.
doesn't diminish how hot you are because I want to fuck somebody else.
Yeah.
Two, I want you there too. You're like, and it's also made me think of like, wow, to think of wanting or needing everything from one person. I want this person to be my lover, my best friend, my
Mhm.
spiritual needs, my financial needs, my, like, I want all my needs met by this
To one
one
per
person. It just seems a little impossible.
Yeah.
And it has been impossible to me in my life. So I don't so now I'm expanding my view of what I want and what I can have. And I'm getting to experience different men and really experience them and really feel like, even if this is a one night stand, I'm making this connection with this person and it means more to me, even if it's that fleeting. And then
Yeah.
I have a few that I'm seeing regularly, and I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I don't feel like I need to know. I don't feel like I need
Yeah.
any promises either.
That's the beauty in it all. Because one thing I was thinking about, like when my relationships go awry and the situationships, entanglements, I was like, the key factor has been honesty, right? Like if I'm
Mm,
asking this partner to be honest with me about the expectations or the ramifications of what we're doing, and they can give you that, then I can't meet your needs no different than you
mm,
can't meet mine. So I don't know why the fear is, because maybe I'm a woman that I can't handle the thought of them being with someone else. But the reality is for them to think that they are my end all be all, or they're the apple of my eye. It's like, I desire a man quite hotter than you, or like bigger than you, or girthier than you. Like you're not the only one who, like, you're not the cat's me out either. So it's like we could talk through some things, and if we really being honest, we probably could get the best of what we both looking for if we just simply communicate.
Absolutely. And when you ask for what you want, you just might get it.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say was that, when it comes to relationships and like this whole wanting to be like having this person that's your everything, and that's great. There's some people that do that. Like I have friends who are married and they're happily married and they do that. And I don't want to discount that because I think that it's really valid for
Beautiful.
some
Yeah.
people. Um, but it's not for me.
Mm.
And I'm not, and it's okay. It took me a long time to say that, like, wow, that is not really what I am looking for. Um, and to be, and just be honest with yourself that way. But when you're being honest with someone else and they're being honest with you, for me, it took me a long time to really listen to what that person's saying to me and hear it. Um, for example, like when this guy was telling me, like, just because I'm sleeping with somebody else doesn't mean that you're not hot.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean that I don't still want to see you. Doesn't mean, like, all of that kind of stuff. Or even when he says to me, like, I miss you. I always, my first thought is, no, you don't. You're like, please, you just slept with
Right.
4 other people yesterday. And no, no, because he's honest with me about so many things and we're honest with each other, that when he says something sweet like that, I really believe it in a way I never did with any other person before.
Yeah. And nobody
Okay.
do it like you do. Oh, go ahead, Kobe.
I just want
Right?
to comment on it because are we still talking about the married guy?
Yeah.
All right, so now you don't have to answer if I'm getting too personal, but does does you along with the two of them both, have your entanglements?
I don't have sex with his husband.
Okay, but the husband is cool with,
Mhm.
and so y'all all just like sit around and like do y'all even talk about it or y'all just don't mention it when y'all all around?
Well, like, it's, we don't need to talk about it because it's all there. Like
Yeah.
it's apparent, but we're all really, really open with each other. And like, for example, the husband talks about his sex life, the times he go like he likes to go to sex parties, he likes his twink boys. Like, so we just talk about our sex lives as they're part of our normal life.
So
But
do you
we
think
also watch RuPaul together. We also, like eat dinner and have birthdays,
it
you
just
know.
sounds a little yeah, it sounds like he kind of likes you a little bit, like a little intimate, saying that he miss you and things like that. And just put myself in the other person's shoes, like that wouldn't make his husband feel like, okay, it's getting a little too close, you know?
Well,
No.
I can tell you though that the husband actually has said to me, "I want you to know that I'm not jealous. I
Okay.
want you to know that it's not a part of this. I know what this is. I'm not worried about it. I think you're great. I'm glad that you're here with him, that you're helping like take care of him in ways that I can't." Like, it's all been, that made me go like, "Oh, cool," like,
Right.
and it is really cool. And I do, like, I have a key to their house. I can go to their house
Yes.
whenever I want. And
That sounds really
um
mature.
I mean, it's insane. Yeah, no, yeah. It is mature, and it's
Uh,
also insane because it's so outside of what we're
And I
used to
always
hearing
say that
about.
too, and I think people always think I'm, like, joking or I'm outlandish when I say it, but, like, if I imagine I always had this fairy tale in my head, but if I had a husband, there are certain things sexually that I don't do. So, if I can't fulfill my partner's desires where like he want his dick sucked all the time and I'm just not willing to do that all the time, then yes, by all means go get you a hair hunter and I'm okay with it. I don't have no discretions. I think we should have conversations. No different than like there might be certain things that I feel. Now, if you're gonna be my life partner, I will want us to communicate in a way that's open and because what you like now may not be the same thing you like 10 years from now. And they might not simply do it for you anymore. And that's
Mhm.
okay. But I think it's okay to be honest and not feel like, well, they said they're not giving me head, so this relationship over. And it's like, no, that's still your person. They just
Right.
might have other desires that you're not fulfilling, and that's okay. That is okay.
Well,
I
and
think that's a beautiful relationship to be able to like be strong enough and mature enough and secure enough where your partner can do that.
well, and I'm no threat to their marriage. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to break up their marriage. That's
Yeah.
not my goal. My goal is not to do that. And so I love that they know that about me, that
Mhm.
I'm not there to do that. I'm just here to have a good time. And there is caring there. There
Yeah.
is definitely caring there. But if it comes down to it, I know that I'll be kicked out because that's his husband.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that's set up very clear for all of us, I think. So
Yeah. And the goal is to enjoy it, right? Like to have the, like I call it the merry-go-round. To be on the merry-go-round as long as they feel good and you like it and enjoy it.
yeah.
And the moment it get a little dicey and tricky, you don't gotta ride it no more. Like you're not
Well,
committed in that situation.
and let me just say this too about the husband. Like, there are times when, like, Michael goes to bed and Tony and I are up watching TV. There's just the two of us and
Mhm.
laughing and stuff. Like, we have our own little
Relationship.
relationship. So that's also makes it more comfortable and easy. Is that we get along and we like each other in a separate way,
Yeah,
but
cause
it's not sexual.
I really wanna be like I know when I see versions of, like, relationships, it always look like a guy having 2 wives or something like that, but I wanna be a wife with 2 husbands. Period. I want my one who's, like, very, like, intimate and connected and, like, knows my emotional needs, but I want the other one that's just my wild, crazy, give me what I need physically, like, boom, and I'll
Well,
just be happy.
and why not? Like, why
Mhm.
can't you? And why does your relationship have to look like anybody else's?
That
Why does your
part.
love life?
But,
You
you know,
do.
I've never been a girl to drum at other people beats just because, like, even with, like, my attraction to, like, trans masculine folks or, um, masculine women, like, as long as masculinity is present, I'm already on board. So I'm like, "Yeah, we'll figure the other shit out later, but I'm attracted to you."
The mechanics of it, like the
Yeah. "Hey, best friend." Um, but yes,
I
I think Go ahead.
I have a crush on a trans man right now, and it's really messing me up. Like it's just a
Oh,
crush. It's not like a, but it is like a, yeah, I have a crush on.
see, crushes can be so dangerous going into last week. Like, I think crushes can be so dangerous, but what I'm holding myself to is I allow myself to like feel it and don't say anything and see if those feelings is still there like
Right.
a month later or yeah, because then I
Well,
realized like it's really not a crush. You just was lusting that person for a second.
well, it is called a crush. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I have a question about that though.
Okay.
Okay, so being that your crush is a female, but well, wait, is a male turn, I mean, female turn male?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, or just masculine. So with that being said, you don't have to go into it if you don't want to. But how does that
I
work
want to.
sexually?
What do you mean?
oh,
That works like um it depends on the partner, right? Like, so if I'm dealing with somebody that's trans and whether they pre-op or post-op, we're gonna figure out a way because there's a mouth and whatever genitalia they have, we're gonna make it work. The end goal for me with sex, regardless of who it is for both of us to come. Like, I'm not really hung up on like who got what or da da da. Because a lot of times when I think about cisgender men, I'm disappointed if he's not equipped in the way that I want. I'm a size queen. I will say that. I'm a size queen and nobody can pick their dick, right? But the reality is like I'm not gonna change just because this person is trans or like they're a lesbian. Like, fuck it. I still think you hot. We gonna make it
But
do
if
what
you a
it do.
size queen, that's my thing. How can you be working with something that's not there?
Toys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't limit yourself in the bedroom. That's amateur play.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think my crush is going to go anywhere. I don't know. It might.
Yeah.
Um, but 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 it is a testament to how I'm expanding my views of what is attractive, my views of what is
Mhm.
possible, um, and not really limiting myself. I mean, and I got rid of one of the things that was really helpful for me was getting rid of this God abomination, Jesus, Christianity, uh,
Mm.
morality when it comes to sex. Like I don't think of sex as being dirty or I mean, except when it's fun, you know, we want it to be
Yeah, of
fun.
course.
But I mean, but I don't think of it as being sinful. Like in I don't I got rid of that. And once I got rid
Yeah,
of
I've been
that,
hearing that shit.
I was like, oh,
Mhm.
now I can just have a good time. And I'm as long as I'm not hurting anybody.
That is the thing. Like a lot of people want to scrutinize other people and like how they have sex and who they have sex with, but the reality is it ain't you. It
Right.
ain't you. Like you don't have to go out of your way to police somebody else and what they feel like is their level of like sexual intimacy or desires. Like no, like when I tell people that I like wax, their whole like disposition changes. And I'm like,
like hot wax.
yeah, soy candles.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
so and it's like, if that's not your thing, that's not your thing, but I
You know
do.
what though? I have never done that, but the minute you said it, I was like, wow, that's kind of hot.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
want.
like, I challenge everybody, every set of lips listening, I challenge
Yeah,
people to, like you were saying, open yourself up to the possibility. You won't know if you like it if you don't try it. Had
100%.
nobody ever introduced those candles to me, it was a game changer, and so I'm glad that it happened that way, but it also makes guys look at me in a different way too, because in their mind they just like, oh yeah, I'm just about to get her this average dick, but then it's like, no, that's not what I want. I want you to be creative. I want you to give me, because I've been doing this
Yeah.
for like 15 years now, so you're gonna have to give me something
if you
different.
if you
Shake it
if
up.
you if you come in here with this average dick, you better have some skills. You
Yeah, like don't
know?
just give me regular degular, because
Wait, so
baby.
is it a certain type of candle or is it just like a regular? You can use a regular candle.
No, not a regular candle if you wanna burn yourself, but get a soy candle. Like, if you go to any of these sex stores or, Cirillas
What's
or
the
some
difference in the feeling?
well, one, it don't burn, so to the touch, it's, like, warming, and then you can, like, rub it like a oil, so you can do a whole little, like, massage thing with it, but if I'm being honest, I really only like it drip to the lower of my lower back while I'm getting hit from the back. That is the best because I guess it's the sensation of it all for me.
Mhm.
And so it's just like it's a part of BDSM, I guess, but it's the sensory part for me that I just like. Like
Right.
it just but that's it. But I do want to explore more things, but I also recognize with myself that it's a level of trust and intimacy that has to go with whoever I'm going to explore those things with. And I'm single, so I don't find
Absolutely.
that. So,
It's definitely not normal.
uh-huh.
Just burn your
Yeah,
balls off.
yeah,
Well, you're supposed well,
Especially
maybe
to
the first time you need to like make sure you test it out.
yeah. And
Um,
let's be honest, everybody pain tolerance different. So you could
like
try a average candle if you like. You might like that. But for me, my skin prefers soy candles. And it got the pheromones in it. I love the way they smell. So it's just
oh,
yeah,
you're
like
giving me.
you
I'm gonna go
should.
shopping.
Oh,
I'm
you want to
going
know
shopping.
something else? Okay, so look, I told y'all about this disclaimer. I really don't like giving head. I will if I like you. I
I
will
will
if
if
I
I
like you.
have
Yeah. But everybody, go get you some pop rocks. Go get you some pop rocks. If you one of those people like me that if like this guy pre come too much or like he comes a lot and or you just don't like it, pop rocks will handle that sensation, but it's also a stimulating sensation when the rocks start popping on his penis. So, um, pop rocks if y'all
but
out
pop
there, y'all
rocks is hard, ain't they?
no, they just start popping. It's so tingly. So as you doing what you're doing, it's also giving another sensation of like, I don't know. But
Well, that's
like I
new.
said, that mediocre shit, I don't want it.
I have so many things to go shopping for now.
Yeah.
Pop rocks though. I can get across the street, so that's good.
Good, good. I got a lot of flavors. Okay. So it's like I do. I'm not even ashamed to say it no more because that's another thing about sex and stigma. Sex seems to be taboo and make people feel shameful. But I love having
One
conversation
of my
about
favorite conversations.
yeah. But people normally be like, oh, now you're a hoe or now you're too freaky. No, I'm a person who enjoys sex. I am an adult and like
Mhm.
it's something that we all engage in. So why can't we have a table conversation? Oh, and
No,
peppermint
so
works too. Okay, period.
okay, so pop rocks and peppermints.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Mm,
Got
you could mix it up.
yeah,
Do they make Christmas pop rocks like Christmas?
I haven't seen that, but I feel like after they probably see this video, they probably gonna start making
you.
it. Okay, we need Christmas things, Halloween things, St. Patty's we just had. Okay, get a little
Right.
shamrock.
Some corned beef and cabbage pop rocks.
Yeah, you see. So I guess for you, like, what things have you been able to enjoy with this new freedom of your sexual liberation?
um okay. From things like could be like massaging someone else. Like I have
Mhm.
discovered I really enjoy massaging someone else, and I can massage someone for a long time. I have had boyfriends who would be like, "Stop touching me! You're touching me too much."
Yeah,
And this guy's like, "No, no, no, you can touch me as long as you want." Like, and I can just go to town.
yeah.
And I didn't realize I'm not ready to admit that I have a foot fetish,
Me
but I
either.
but I enjoy the feet. I'll say I enjoy it.
I
I
will look
enjoy
down at
I
somebody's
en-
feet and be like, my girl had taught me that. Like, look at a guy's feet and just see if he got pretty toes. And like, it's a
well,
thing.
and I'll rub those feet and I'll like massage those feet, and it can like get me really excited. And I didn't like I would never have done that had he not said massage my feet. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden I'm like, this is really sexy. Um, but also being like in a situation where it's not just the two of us, where there's three of us, and I'm not the main center of attraction. Like
yeah.
I'm not the turkey, I'm the mashed potatoes.
Mm,
And to find like, oh, you know what? That's still sexy and fun, even though I'm not the main event.
mm-hmm.
And I don't need to be the main event every time.
Yes.
And it can still be super sexy and fun. And then it makes the next time like really more fun. Like it's just, I, I think I always had so much fear of missing out when it came to sex that like I have to get it all now. It has to
Yeah.
all happen now. No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. It's just sex. There's another. You can meet somebody else tomorrow. There's another thing happening later. Like
Yeah.
It's all okay.
That's beautiful.
My earbuds are just not cooperating.
No, it's
You know.
okay. Once you said the thing about the feet, one of my things I love when I get a fresh pedicure and like we doing what we doing, and he go to put that big toe in his mouth. I was like, yeah, it's so cute.
100%.
What liberations have you found sexually that you're now exploring?
um, I kind of like the used to just get straight into it. You know what I'm saying? Like rip everything off.
Hmm.
Now I'm more so into like the lingerie, little lace, little, whatever
Okay.
the case. Like, um, I actually just not too long ago ordered some for somebody.
Okay.
I'm like, I
Okay.
want you to try this. But what I will say is that I have a saying that I don't know where it came from. But I think everybody should try everything twice.
Yeah.
Everybody say you should try everything once. Do it twice. Reason being is because the first time might be a fluke. You might not like it the first time. It might not have been done right the first time. You feel me?
Hmm.
But the second time, it might be what you want.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm here for it. I done things more than enough times. Um,
Well,
Only
me
thing I
too.
have
Then
not done, I still haven't had like I tried a threesome, but it didn't work out the way I imagined it. But I do want to at least before on my bucket list, I'm gonna try a threesome again and hopefully it goes well. But
Was your
yeah,
threesome?
go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, was it with somebody you was with or two? Like,
two strangers, I was
okay,
on some revenge get back shit, and maybe that could have been why karma didn't go right and fulfill it the way it needed to go. But yeah.
It,
Hmm.
they don't always go great.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes like my biggest fear is that I won't be like they'll be into it and I'm over here, like I'm
yeah,
sitting on the side. And as long as you are with like your primary person that you're with, like, no, we're gonna all be together. This is a
Mhm.
threesome. This is not a twosome and you're watching.
Yeah, see,
Or it is. And that's what the gig is. Like that's the kink or whatever. But
that was the issue because they didn't disclose that they had whatever they had, and so when me and the first person was like engaging, you could see the jealousy of like, you don't sound like that when you're doing it with me, and this, that, and third. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let y'all go, and I'm just gonna sit here and watch. But I knew the person I was trying to make jealous was gonna come into the room sooner than later, so I just remained with my clothes off, and he was like,
wait. So is it a wait? I kind of want to know the story. No.
wait.
So no, basically one of my ex-boyfriends, I was like, he had basically made me feel like you would never find nobody better than me. And I'm like, boy, I'll drop you and get two more. Not knowing that I actually would drop you and get two more. And so I just wanted him to see, like,
So
yeah.
was it at your house?
Yeah, it was at our house.
And you knew he was gonna walk in
Yeah,
any
I knew what
moment.
time he was gonna get done
So,
doing basketball.
so did he walk in?
He did walk in, was like, "What the fuck?" And looked at me, and I was laying there naked while they just going at it. And he just like slammed the door, and then later on that evening, which is, or did he? However, it went, I don't remember. It was so long ago. But he was like, "Did you really have sex with them two guys?" And I was like, I went along with it, like, "Yeah, I did," but no, I didn't.
You had
So
sex
you
with
didn't
one of them.
Yeah,
you didn't have no threesome. You just showed
yeah,
up. You didn't have
yeah,
it. You
yeah,
you need to, yeah, you need to like
You were
I
trying to say,
recommend, yeah, that
yeah.
you find
Get back out
yourself a
here.
mutual situation where all
Yeah,
three of you are like, yeah, you and all of
yeah.
oh
That's
it.
the night I'm gonna be off Hennessy, I promise you, cause
Lord.
baby,
You're gonna have to report back. I want to
I
hear about
will.
it.
I definitely will want you back. So let the people know where they can find you, what events and things you got going on.
Well, actually, next week I'll be at the National Latinx HIV conference in Albuquerque, and I'm presenting
New
on
Mexico.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Good tacos. You can also find me on Instagram. I do a weekly show for thebody.com that's called At Home With. That is every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a half an hour where I talk to people in the LGBTQ HIV community. And I'm also on Instagram at and Facebook at what's my Charles Sanchez 526, or on Twitter at Fabulous Sanchez.
Yes.
And my web series, if you want to watch the web series, there are 2 seasons of the series. It's a musical comedy. It's absolutely ridiculous and fun. And it's if you go to mercetheseries.com, MERCE, the series.com, you can find it also on YouTube and Vimeo.
Nice. Kobe.
Well, as usual, I'm Kobe, and I'm talking about like I do this.
Okay. You
um,
don't know.
I really don't have nothing coming up. I'm excited to see what you got coming up because I'm ready to come back next Friday.
Okay, period.
So
Let me
hopefully,
find out I got a cold.
right? That's what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Plug me in there. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. So yeah, a lot of things is going on. Like I was telling y'all last week, Corktown Health. If you are a trans or non-binary individual who may need assistance with like first month's rent or security deposit, utilities is like need to be paid, or you just need some food assistance, come down to Corktown Health. We are kicking off our Breaking Barriers program, and it's really going to be beneficial to really trying to alleviate those barriers that gets in the way with trans people and non-binary people just trying to have a fresh start in life, right? Um, and it's a one-stop shop too if you need to get into care. Um, that's going on. Also, April 2nd, the Deliberation show that I'm being on is a Detroit talk show. I'm really excited. The live show recording will be actually then, so you can get your tickets free at Eventbrite. It's on one of my pages, so go check that out. You don't have to pay for nothing. It's actually free. It's going to be food and refreshments, and you get to meet the rest of my cast. So there are amazing individuals. It's for other people that probably you could resonate with and like just see their points of view with these different topics. Also, name change clinic. My good friend Jaleesa Abad is at Corktown Health as well, um, doing name changes. So you can catch her at Corktown Health on Wednesdays from the hours of 12 to 4. So definitely check her out if you're someone who is interested in getting your name changed. Is there anything else? If it is, oh, so also it's just so much. Um, Also this weekend, if y'all can come out, if you're a person who like hookah, my cousin is launching her hookah grill, hookah and grill business on Saturday. I'll put up the information. But yeah, all in all, I like to leave pearls, and I think in this topic, I'll let Charles start first. What would be something you would tell somebody who might be in the space of just struggling with their diagnosis or
Mm,
just coming to grips about getting that information?
mm. Find community, reach out, and there are HIV organizations. If you don't have one locally in your own hometown, there are national organizations you could reach out to. Um, we will embrace you. We will envelop you. We will help you. It is so empowering to talk to someone else who is living with HIV, who can remind you and you can see in front of you that it's going to be okay, because it is going to be okay. So
Yes.
that's what I would say.
Okay, Kobe.
Remember what I said? Try everything twice. Don't limit yourself.
Okay, and lastly, my best friend also linked this in. Thank you, girl. Uh, in this situation, no matter what it is, it might be traumatic to have this new reality of like maybe the way that you may had an idea or vision for your life that may necessarily not be the plan that you sought for self, but it's going to be all right. It is going to be people that's going to love and affirm you right for who you are. Don't think this the end of the road and nobody's ever going to love you. There is someone who's going to love you. It's going to be several people that's going to love you, freak you, whatever. Not much is going to change, but I would say get medical care. Don't be afraid to go and protect your body, protect yourself and your mental. If you need to get a provider to talk through these issues, because depression is real, anxiety is real, that is okay. But I would just say lean in to the people. And if you is specifically a trans woman of color here in Detroit and you newly diagnosed and trauma is coming up, we do have a program with the University of Michigan called Kicking It with the Girls, and we're starting our third round. Um, and so if there's something that you're interested in, reach out to myself, Jaleesa, Latrice, or Harmony about being a part of this program. It's an 8-week program. It really is amazing and it's changing lives in a way that I feel like we don't talk enough about traumatic experiences or getting the tools that we need to combat them. But it's your girl, Miss Mouthy. Until next time, I know when you don't what? See me, you hear me. Till next time. Bye.